Today we're diving into a tense that trips up a lot of people, the present perfect continuous. So let's jump right in and make this super simple and totally clear. All right, first things first. I know the name itself sounds, well, a little complicated. Present perfect continuous. It's a mouthful and it can sound kind of scary. But I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to see it's way easier than it sounds.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start by tackling that fear factor. Then I'll give you a simple recipe for building sentences. We'll nail down exactly when to use it, compare it with the present perfect simple, and finally cover negatives and questions. You ready? Let's do it! Okay, section 1. Is this really a tense that scares learners? Let's demystify this thing once and for all. This tense is all about actions that started in the past and are still going on right now. And the key idea, the one thing you really need to remember, is the duration. It's all about how long something has been happening.
All right, now for the fun part. Forget all those complicated grammar rules. I want you to think of this like a simple 4-step recipe for cooking up the perfect sentence. It's seriously this easy. You start with your subject. I, you, she, they. Then you add either have or has. Next comes the magic word, been. It's always there. And finally, you tack ing onto the end of your main verb. Subject, have or has, been, and the verb with ing. That's it. So the only real choice you have to make here is between have and has. And the rule is simple. For I, you, we, and they, you're going to use have. For he, she, and it, you use has. Get that down, and you'll build the sentence right every single time. Okay, so we know how to build the sentence, but when do we actually use it? This is where the real power of this tense shows up. Just imagine an action starting sometime in the past. It's continued all the way up to this very moment. And hey, it might even keep going into the future. Think of it like a bridge connecting the past to the present. Now, to talk about that duration, we use 2 keywords, for and since. We use for with a period of time, like for 2 hours or for 10 years. And we use since to mark a specific starting point, like since 8 a.m. or since 2014. So it's simple. For is for the length of time, since is for the start of that time. Let's look at a perfect example. I have been studying English for 2 hours. See how that works? The action started in the past, it's still happening now, and we're using for to really emphasize that 2-hour duration. Now, this next part is a big one. This is where a lot of learners get confused. The present perfect continuous versus the present perfect simple. The whole difference comes down to one thing: what you want to focus on. The continuous tense focuses on the process, the time you've spent doing something. So, I have been reading the book emphasizes the activity of reading itself. But the simple tense, that focuses on the result, the completion. I have read the book means it's done. You can think of it this way. One is about the journey, the other is about the destination. To really make this click, let's use a little story about 2 friends, Ahmed and Ali. Ahmed says, excitedly, "Look at this amazing book I've been reading for 3 hours." He's using the continuous tense because he wants to emphasize the time he's invested. The duration is the key part of his message. Now his friend Ali replies, "Of course, I have read it twice." See? Ali uses this simple tense. Why? Because the important information for him is the result, that he completed the book, not just once, but twice. He's focusing on the accomplishment. So the takeaway from their conversation is simple but really powerful. If you want to talk about how long you've been doing something, the process, use the continuous form. If you want to talk about what you finished or accomplished, the result, use the simple form. Duration versus result. That's the whole game. We're almost at the finish line. Now that we've got the what and the why, let's quickly cover the how for making negative sentences and questions. The pattern here is super straightforward. To make a sentence negative, you just stick not after have or has to get haven't or hasn't. And for a question, just swap the subject and the have or has. It's a really predictable and easy pattern to learn. Okay, time for a quick practice run. You see the pieces on the screen. They learn English for 2 years. How would you put those together to make a correct present perfect continuous sentence? Take a second and think about it. And there it is. They have been learning English for 2 years. We use have because the subject is they, followed by our good friend been, and then learning. Simple as that. Great job. So let's just quickly recap the essentials. Remember the structure. Know that its main job is talking about ongoing actions that started in the past. Keep your keywords for and since straight. And most importantly, always remember that it's all about the duration of the action, not the final result.
And that brings us to the end. I want to leave you with one final thought, using the very tense we've just mastered. While you've been watching this, what sentence have you been forming in your mind about your own life? Think about something you've been doing for a while. Now you know exactly how to say it. Thanks for watching.